Hi, good morning. I'm Audrey and welcome to this video. So, for the past few days, I got to talk to some of my friends, and normally the first thing I'd ask is, how are you? Or how are you feeling today? So, I'd still get the common answer, just like what I'm feeling. There are still a lot of anxieties and fears, mainly because of all the uncertainties, the way we live our life now, and fear of going out with the new environment. Sometimes upo ko for 30 minutes, mag-iisip, ano na ba nangyari past 3 months? Ano na ba yung sitwasyon ngayon? And Lord, ano na mangyayari in the future? Sometimes yung 30 minutes nagiging 1 hour, 2 hours, na hindi mo na namamalayan, punong-puno na yung isip mo ng kung ano-anong bagay, hindi mo alam kung ano yung gagawin. But, like what they said, it's completely normal to feel that way. What we're trying to avoid, though, is that all these fears and anxiety might affect our mental and physical health, meaning it might weaken our immune system. Just to share with you the strategy I've been doing to manage myself, it's what we practice at work, that when we are faced with difficult or challenging situations, the first thing I do is that I identify what are the things that I can and cannot control. With that, I get a clear perspective on what I need to do. And in our situation now, I realize that one thing we can control are our thoughts. That by controlling our thoughts, maybe we can address all our fears and our anxieties. So, to help us do that today, I have invited a friend. Her name is Kay. She is a psychology graduate and currently taking her master's degree major in clinical psychology in San Sebastian College at TIAP. Okay, hi Kay, welcome to my video.
Oh, hi, Audrey. It's nice to see you. Even if it's just
Super formal.
virtually, I haven't seen you personally for so long because of the situation we are in.
So, Kay, I was talking about fear. So, I know it's normal during this time that we feel anxious and have these fears, but uh, when does it become bad?
I'm glad that we're talking about this because anxiety is so common nowadays, right? And being anxious is like one of the new normals, actually. Your thoughts are very important in terms of having to manage it because it is actually related to the feelings that you are having, especially when it becomes maladaptive. When I say maladaptive, it means that yung nararamdaman mo it becomes so overwhelming. Like sometimes it's physiological. You don't want to stand up, you don't want to eat, or you're nervous about things most of the time. You can't sleep. So these are all that's physiological. No, and when you lose weight, you gain weight. There are also parts of your routine that are affected. That is why you have to be aware of the thought patterns that you're having kapag nararamdaman mo na itong mga anxiety mo. Okay? May mga times na sinasabi nila na hindi ko na po alam kung ano yung mga naiisip ko or ang dami-dami kong naiisip. Diba? So, mahirap talaga. It's not easy. Yeah. When I say, you have to manage your thoughts, you have to be aware of your thoughts. Exactly. It's not an easy thing to do. It's very important for you to pinpoint what are those triggers, what are those triggering thoughts that are causing this anxiety. Okay. I'll give you an example of fear first. Like if I'm fearful, kunwari, I'm sick, I have asthma. And when I get asthma, talagang I go to the hospital, I can't breathe. So when I have those attacks, it causes fear. Natakot ako kasi parang alam kong mahihirapan ako eh. And now, because of the pandemic and because COVID attacks the respiratory system, it creates this anxious thoughts in my head na, hala pa, paano kapag nakapasok si COVID dito? Paano kung nakarating yun sa akin? Paano kapag may asthma ako? What will happen to me? Alam ko mahirapan ako huminga. Will I die? So these are the things that's gonna come in my head even though even though I'm not having that asthma attack yet, even though I don't have COVID yet. And you can't tell that person na, hindi mo isipin yan. Hindi ka dapat matakot dyan.
Yeah.
Because it is valid.
Yeah.
Everyone's emotions, whatever they're feeling, it's all valid. You really have to see that on the point of view of that person, it is real.
Yeah.
And for me, this is real. If
Yeah.
I'm fearful of my life
Yeah.
because of this sickness,
Yeah.
it's real for me.
And especially in this kind of environment that we're in, di ba? So, hindi maiwasan na magkaroon ka ng fears and yun nga, like what you said, triggers. Can the physiological manifestations, meaning yung nafe-feel mo sa body mo when you say physiological, di ba? Can that be your warning or a sign for you to be aware? Let's say, okay, I couldn't sleep.
All these things are warning signs sa atin na nagsasabi na um, there is something that you want to voice out, or there's something going on in your head that you are not equipped at the time to address.
And
So how
identify
will you
it.
become aware of it?
Sure. Is there a difference between fear and anxiety? Okay.
It is very much interrelated. Fear kasi is that state where you have a real or foreseen danger, imminent danger. So, di ba, when you're fearful, like there's a dog
Yeah.
who's rabid na nandiyan sa tabi mo, there's fear, right? Now, and there's a target for that fear. Now, anxiety is more of untargeted, but is it can be caused by the fear that you have as well. It can be caused. Kasi nangyari na sa akin yun dati.
Mm-hmm.
Pero now, I cannot pinpoint where I'm fearful. Am I fearful with COVID? Am I fearful with being infected? Am I fearful with? So it's like a state in which it's a bit bigger.
Yeah.
You know that there are a lot of things that can be manifested by just anxiety.
Okay. Kasi sometimes we just try to sometimes brush it off, but
I
not
wanted
positive.
to talk about that one when you said you want to brush it off, no? Because that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi ang daming tao yung say, I want to be positive, I want to be positive. You tend to brush off even reality itself.
Mm-hmm.
Diba? That sometimes you brush off even the real things, like when you're angry, like when you're fearful. You want to brush it off because you want to remain positive. And that is also not a good thing because you want to conceal something that's there.
Yes.
Diba? I'm not saying that being positive is bad, but being always positive is also not good. That's called toxic positivity. Diba? When you are fearful, when you are anxious, doesn't mean that it's bad, right? You just have to address it and say, okay, I'm feeling anxious today. This is not a good day. How will I be able to process it and manage it moving forward?
What are the things that we can do now to in terms of mental preparation and especially lalabas na, we have to work or we have now the malls are open, everyone's gonna go out. So how do we transition slowly mentally in helping us to live in the new
Okay.
normal? Parang ganyan.
The first is awareness of your triggers. Number two is to accept that you have it. Okay? And then when you accept that you have it, but you cannot pinpoint the thoughts that are going to your head and what's causing this. Um, there are a lot of mindfulness techniques that you can do. And when we talk about mindfulness, it's about being in the present. Yung talaga yun, being at the now. We will not focus on past experiences and let us stop first in worrying about the future. Okay? You can actually do journaling as well.
Okay. Yeah, kasi minsan, di ba, parang like, so what am I gonna do with all this, everything in my mind? So, again,
Yeah.
writing it down.
So write it down. And then, sometimes when we do write it down, kasi yung iba iniisip din kung ano yung i-write.
Yeah.
And that is not advisable. When you write it down, you just write as it comes, as it goes along in your head. You just have to write everything. If you're shouting, if you're silent, you just have to write a long line there, whatever.
No one will judge you, right?
Correct.
Sulat
And even you, don't judge yourself as well. And my advice is that don't read it first. Probably just write it continuously in the first 3 days, 5 days, and that's the time that you read it. And then maybe you can process, shocks, I'm thinking about this pala all the time. Grabe, this is what's bothering pala me all the time. So, one day at a time lang muna tayo because everything is so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And the best thing that we can do is to actually know ourselves better. It's very important at this time to have self-love. You love yourself to the point that you know that something is not good for you, that these things are not doing good to your health, but it is okay to say I'm not okay now.
Yeah. And it's always going to be, there is a process and transition. And I think we should allow ourselves to go through that process in order to get to the other side of, okay, now this is our new life, new norm, and we're going to get through it. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. There you go. I hope you learned something from our video. And before you go, there's just one last thing. Together with managing our thoughts, always remember that you can surrender everything that's beyond your control to a higher power, and that is God. There is power in prayer, believing that God will take care of you today and our future. In Philippians 4, verse 6, he says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Thank you, and I hope to see you in my next video.